people! This is episode 53 of Day-to-Day Knits podcast. My name is Sara Coelho-Robinson and I live here in the United States of America with my husband Joseph and our dog Effie. This episode is being recorded about 3 hours after the previous one because I felt like I had so much to talk about. I needed to split it up between a couple of episodes. One with my FOs, one with my whips. And these whips are really sort of an introduction of, I think, what I will be spending my winter doing. So let's get started. This is vest number 1 by my favorite things. And the yarn is Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes, worsted, and Cilantro heather. And what I forgot to say in the previous episode is that I also have the Dreamy vanilla socks on. That is one of my patterns. It's plain vanilla socks. And it is done in online color street. Is that right? Linie 12? Hold on. I have that written here. Online Linie 12. Street design color. I was so close. I just had all my words jumbled up. And that takes me to my first project here. This is sock number 1 that has a slight mishap in the calves just because I was not paying attention to what I was doing, and I did increases too fast because I was not following the pattern, because I was not looking at what I was doing. And these are toe up socks. The main color yarn is the Full Moon Fibre Wormhole fingering. I don't know the exact color. And it's mostly green, but it has all these other colors if you look at the individual stitches. And that was given to me on Secret Santa sort of like holiday exchange thing. And what I did was I gave a chart with a bunch of colors. The ones I did not like were crossed out, like neon green, for example. But then it had all these other like muted colors. It also had like teal, like bright teal and such, but most of them were very muted colors, and I think they've pretty much all made it onto this colorway. There's lots of like dry pinks and browns and a few like copper oranges, very pretty. And that was gifted to me together with this gorgeous yellow, which is superwash. This one is not superwash. And this yellow is mini skein. And it's Fireweed Fibre Company, Sweet Pea Sock, and put a star in it, on it. Put the star on it. And it's such a pretty yellow. Gorgeous yellow. So what I decided to do was I did, this is the Contentment socks pattern, which starts toe up. So I did the toes, and then I did like about 6 more rows just to have a little bit more of the yellow. And then you work until you get to the heel. You do heel flap and gusset, or yeah, heel flap and gusset. And then you start your increases. Now the increases are done using a spreadsheet so that they are perfect for the leg size. Unless you are like me and you stop paying attention to how many increases you should be doing and you do too many increases. But the good thing is, it still fits. It still fits. It's just a little bit wide, like on the too wide side. Like if I were skinny jeans, this would not work, but I no longer wear skinny jeans, so it's fine. I still have a couple of pairs, and I think they're probably the only jeans I wear. I just don't wear many jeans anymore. Okay, so you can see it's like quite wide. Like this here was a mistake. Anyway, So it still fits because this is still right. I just made a mistake in this area here. So I just ended up with a little bit more fabric, but it's fine. And the other leg, I'm just gonna do it right. Well, I've done it right. So yeah, it's fine. It's just like, it could have been slouchy if the top wasn't done correctly. I put all these markers to help me compare between both of the socks. The yellow ones on the sock are every 10 stitches, and then every time I need to like change the instructions to do like just something different, that's when I put a red one. Then here, and then here to start the ribbing. Now, the difference between this and the Contentment socks is that if you look at the design, or if you remember the design of the Contentment socks, you get to the top of the ribbing, and then the pattern flares out and has a little like frilly, lacy top, which looks really cute with dresses and skirts, but with pants is not perfect. So I made this one to wear with pants, where I did 5 rows, although right now I think that's too much for my second sock. I'm probably gonna go down to 3 rows. So I did that, and they're basically like a tube, because on the inside, I bound that off together. And what I have is an elastic on the inside to make sure that it stays in place. This is something I've done. I've introduced elastics to all of my sock designs, but this one is the first time I'm using a very thin elastic, not a wider one that is more visible in the design. Yes, so I've done the first sock, and now I'm on the second sock, and I am done with the increases, and I am starting the decreases. And for this one, I used white to mark every 10 rows, and this blue teal, can't really see it, to mark when anything special happens in terms of the instructions. Yeah, and here I am, almost done. Just need like about this much more sock, including the ribbing. And just so you can see, this is one of the yarns, and this is the other. Let's move on. This is the Hayley Slipover. It's not done, but it's getting there, and it's so pretty. The yarn is yarn that I got in Amsterdam. It is JC Rennie Supersoft 4-ply in Bondi blue. And it's a British yarn. I just can't remember if it's like Scottish or English. I don't know. I can't recall. And, well, actually, maybe I have a paper with me. Scotland, established in 1798. Very cool. Each ball is 50 grams. And each ball is fingering. The yarn note, the pattern calls for DK yarn. But I really like this yarn, so I just thought I'd use it double. So when I went to the store, I bought enough yarn to make size number 2. Turns out that the yarn I bought was also okay for size number 3, but they only gave the amount for, even though the pattern has 2 options, the amount that they gave was for, I believe, the shorter pattern that ends in the natural waist, which this one is right about there. It's right about at the natural waist right now, but it is before it's blocked and also before it stretches, you know, sideways. So this will not just stretch vertically, this will stretch to the side because, you know, the cables scrunch up the fabric. So really what I see right now there's a possibility that it could either maintain its size or become shorter because it just grows in width. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using one skein and I'm pulling from the center and the outside to do all the ribbing. I've started here, I'm almost done. I'll probably try to finish this ribbing this evening as well as some more. I'll probably do this arm next and then finish with the v-neck and see if I have some left from that skein. Then, to finish this repeat, this pattern repeat, I have only 3 more rows to go. Right now, I'm using 2 different skeins. I'm pulling from the outside of both skeins. That's what you see here. It's 2 different yarns. And what I know is that of those 2 balls, I have 74 or 75 grams left. I still need to do the ribbing. But since I have 3 more rows of the pattern, I'm going to weigh it once I'm done with the 3 rows of pattern. Then I'm going to see how many rows of ribbing I have, how much yarn from the ball from up here I have, and if all of that together is enough to do both the ribbing and 1 more of those repeats, because 1 more of those repeats would make this vest be closer in size, like in length, to this vest, which allows me to choose to tuck it in or to wear it over the pants, as I'm doing with this vest right now. So that's what I'm gonna do. I am definitely not going to buy more yarn. If I ran out a little bit on the ribbing, that's fine. If I realize that maybe I can only do half of the repeat, that is better than nothing, so I might do that. Yeah. But I'm almost done, and oh my god, look at this. Before I did this pattern, and really if you think about it, the Faye summer top, I think that's what it's called, that I talked about in the last episode, that has some cables, but it also had like baubles and lace. It's not just cables. This one is like cables and just texture then with knits and pearls. And this one is just work from here to the end, which is fine. It's just something that I would have looked at this, and this is why it was part one of my New Year resolutions to do a pattern, this one or something like this. It was because I see something like this and I am like, this seems like a lot of work. I think I'd spend 3 months knitting that or something. And it's not terrible. And when you like the yarn and when you like the pattern, then you want to keep knitting. And that's like, you want to keep going. You don't want this to be too short because you decided to stop before you're supposed to. And I am just in love with it. Like, it is gorgeous. I feel so proud of myself for taking a leap, choosing to just take this project on, but also for doing so good. Like, I have like 1 mistake here, and that's because I was like, I don't want to go back and fix that. I was probably already here and I didn't want to like take all that back to fix it. I think I have like 1 more mistake somewhere else. Oh, it's on the back here. But that's it. It's not terribly noticeable. But yeah, it's just like a combination of 3 different cables. And it's just lovely. And there's like a little detail here. It's great. I really like it. She also has a sweater, which maybe I'll do another time. And then there's 1 more project I wanted to show you. And that is the Field Sweater by Camilla Vlad. And I have just barely cast on. Like, I cast on and I did the ribbing. And for this one, and I sort of swatched. I sort of did it. I decided I did the swatch one needle size above this one, and it wasn't quite right. And on my interchangeables, I can only go down to this size. So that's what I decided to do, instead of like swatching again, verifying again. So if it doesn't work out, I just get a slightly looser sweater. It's not the end of the world. So what I'm using is this gorgeous Camellia Fibre Company yarn. And this one is the Sylvan fingering, which I took the label out. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Okay. And this is 70% alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. So you can only imagine how soft that is. And the color is peach ranunculus. Then, you know, if you look at the pictures, some people use mohair at the top. And I thought, that is great. I am going to do that. So I swatched with this one. And this is, I also had a paper for that one. Yes. Concept by Katia, Silk-Mohair, 70% mohair, 30% silk. Gorgeous. And together, they do this like really pretty, like golden color. And then I thought, okay, and then when I get to the body, I'll just take the mohair off. But how am I supposed to stay in the, like, the swatch size with fingering? Like, how am I supposed to do 20 stitches in 4 inches / 10 centimeters with just fingering? That would be like a really open fabric. I am going to have to change to a different mohair. Either that, or I'll have to like buy more of this one, which I could have totally done because, oh my god, it's so soft. In fact, when you add the mohair and silk to this one, it becomes less soft. But it might be a little too pale for me for the winter. So I thought that instead I would go to the Black Mountain yarn store and I'll get myself some knitting for Olive in this gorgeous burgundy, which I guess the final color is going to land somewhere between these two. But I think it will make a really pretty contrast with this one. And when I was in Knoxville, which I just drove through to stop for a meal, I went to the beads store. I went to buy beads for other projects that I'll tell you about real quick. But as I was like leaving, I was like, huh, these beads look like they would match my sweater. Let me just go grab my sweater and just check it out. And they do. It is like perfection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this again, and hopefully you can see the so-called grain stitch, which is a stitch in this pattern that gets repeated, and that's what you see in the photos, is that grain stitch repeat pattern. And I think that at the end of each grain stitch, I am going to put a bead. So that will be like just a lot of slow work up here. Not just because the grain stitch takes me a while to do, but also because I will be introducing beads. So let's see. So that's a grain stitch, that's a grain stitch, that's a grain stitch. It has a little bump. That's another grain stitch. Yeah, and right now it's kind of hard to tell just because, you know, there's mostly ribbing. There's not many grain stitches to look at, but I think that would be pretty. And then I might, once I turn into this Bordeaux color, which that's actually the color of it, is Bordeaux, I might keep like a little drizzle of the beads. I might. Don't know yet. We'll see. I don't want it to be too contrasting, you know. Yes, so that's what I did for that. But I'll show you what I actually went there to buy beads for. I want to make 2 holiday sweaters, which will be the projects I do, I think, after this sweater. And I had the yarn right here. Where? Oh, there it is. So one of them is going to be mostly in this color, and it's going to have mohair and silk lace on the shoulders. And for that one, I'm going to use a mix of these. And then I'm going to make a very like Christmassy sweater. And that is going to have these 3 gorgeous beauties. And I am going to add these 2, and then possibly if I have some left of this one as well. So let me show you that. Where's that? I'll show you all the yarn with all the beads. I think that that's gonna make a beautiful Christmas sweater. I am so excited. I am so excited, you have no idea. And that is it. That did not take too long. It's like a super short episode of just whips. Yeah. And maybe that by the time I publish, I'll be done with either the socks or the Slipover, but I might not. I might not be done. Yeah. And that's what I'm really going to prioritize. I'm probably going to prioritize the vest. And then this will be my car ride project. And for every other time, this will be my go-to project. This is the sort of project I will not be able to travel with because it has the beads until I reach the Bordeaux. Once I reach the Bordeaux, I'll be done with the socks. And that will be my knit project that I can knit anywhere, except maybe at the movies. Because knitting with mohair without looking at it can be tricky. Especially when it is that dark. But I'm super excited. I am so excited. So excited. You have no idea. Yeah. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. I think you can tell what the theme or themes for this winter are. And those are beads and cables and fluff. Beads, cables, and fluff. So I think that every project I do this winter is going to have at least one, if not more, of those. Beads, fluff, and cables. Unless I'm doing like baby stuff, because I do have some baby projects that I need to work on for like family and friends. Alright, okay, well, that's it. You guys have a fabulous day or evening. And I will see you next time. Bye.